Let's start with the Diddy trials. Because the Diddy trials, wow. Yesterday, things escalated. There was a lot that was shared on the stand yesterday by the witnesses who took the stand. Now, I want to start with the fact that Cassie's mother, Cassie's mother was one of the first witnesses. Cassie's mom took the stand. When Cassie's mom took the stand, she shared a few things that were important for us to know when it comes to the trial and just in general to build the case against Diddy, especially in regards to the charges that he's facing. So one of the things that she shared with us initially about about anything relating to Diddy was that the first encounter or the first thing that she felt worried from was when she started to see like these blogs posting that there was violence happening between Diddy and Cassie while they were together. She said she reached out to Cassie, asked her about it. Cassie said that those things were not true and that their relationship was not like that and that's not who they were. Now, later, she did also testify that one time when Cassie came home for the holidays, Cassie had marks and bruises on her body, and her mom and Cassie took pictures of the bruises to make sure that they kept them for in case they needed to use them in any situation like this situation we're currently in. And that's important because no, he's not on trial for DV, but it does show that he was controlling in some ways for her. Now, the other thing that Cassie's mom testified about was that she went to LA for Cassie's 30th birthday. When she got to LA for Cassie's 30th birthday, she saw Diddy and Cassie going back and forth. Diddy then stole Cassie's phone and refused to give it back. Cassie's mother tried to retrieve the phone, at which time the security guard at the time stepped in between them and wouldn't allow her to get the phone from Diddy. Now, after that, Diddy did give the phone back, but after Diddy gave the phone back, he pulled off in Cassie's Jaguar and left Cassie and her mother stranded in LA, right? So that's important to note because it continues to show like the level of control that he had over her and how he was threatening her. Now, the last thing, and I would argue probably one of the most important things that Cassie's mom shared on the stand yesterday was that she had received a call or a message from Diddy saying that Cassie started dating Kid Cudi, and Diddy said that he wanted to recoup all of the money that he spent, and Diddy told Cassie's mom that she would have to pay $20,000 to return what he spent or invested in Cassie. Now, Cassie also sent an email to her mom saying that Diddy was threatening to release videos of her from the freak-offs if they did not pay the $20,000. Her mom and her dad then took $20,000 in equity out of their home and sent it over to Diddy. Now, when they sent that $20,000 over to Diddy, they wired it over to him, and then they said a few days later, the money was returned to them in their account. Now, this was what she shared on the stand about her experience with Diddy, and the reason that that's so important is because if y'all remember, a part of the trafficking charges, and the reason why it's called trafficking is that you have to show not only did you bring people across state lines for work, but you were coercing people or forcing them into engaging in certain acts. And so trying to extort her or blackmail her by using these tapes that he allegedly had is a part of forcing her or coercing her into continuing to participate against her will. So that's why it's really important. Now, that was the mom. After that, we heard from Diddy's former assistant. Diddy's former assistant, I can't stop laughing at the fact that they were really calling these things Diddy boppers, but he alleged that they would participate in what they call Diddy boppers, which was essentially using drugs while partying with Diddy or around Diddy's people And he said that that was like a part of what he did. Now, something that is important to note, because the defense team is going to try to use this to paint Diddy as a good person, and I'm not agreeing with that, but I am sharing. The former assistant alleged that he had gotten to it with a woman staff member who was a chef in the kitchen. He then grabbed the woman and tried to shake her and told her to stay in her lane. Now, why that's important is because then he said that he followed up with Diddy. Diddy must have got wind of it, and Diddy told him that it's not okay for him to put his hands on women. Now, anybody who knows abusers knows that they don't see themselves as an abuser. So, though the defense team is trying to say, like, Diddy is a good person, he's not, this was all drug fueled. Because he told him not to put his hands on women, anybody who knows an abuser knows that the abuser doesn't think that they're an abuser. Thus, they will tell another man, don't put their hands on a woman. Like, that's not anything good. But that also doesn't make him a good person, because you said it to this man who it was employed by you, but then you did it. So, whatever. But this is what came of that, right? This is what he alleged. Now, one of the most important things that came from the testimony from the assistant was the Suge Knight situation. Now, he said that one day Diddy and his camp got wind of Suge Knight being at Mel's Diner, which is a popular diner in LA. All the celebrities used to go to it. Everybody heard of Mel's Diner. It's always in the songs. So Diddy and his team got wind that Suge Knight was at Mel's Diner. Diddy and his team went and got their things because they heard it was happening. Diddy included had his thing on him, and they decided to roll up on Mel's Diner to see about Suge Knight because he was there. Now, the assistant is saying that that was the point where he felt like his life was in danger and he needed to leave, like he couldn't continue to work for him. Now, the reason that's important is because when people think about racketeering and RICO cases, they're thinking about these huge drug organizations that are like, extreme or whatever. It's literally a group of people getting together to organize to commit a crime, right? And so the fact that Diddy and his team got together, got their things on them, illegal firearms, and then pulled up on Mel's Diner with the intent to harm Suge Knight, that shows a group of people participating in illegal acts in an organized way. Like that's a RICO. A RICO is not always, like I was listening to TMZ yesterday and they made a valid point. Like a RICO is not always these big, huge El Chapo. Like people think El Chapo, it just needs to be a group of people working together to commit an organized crime. That is literally a group of people working together to commit an organized crime when they pulled up to Mel Diner to see about Suge Knight. Now, the assistant said that at that point, that's where he feared for the safety of his life and decided he no longer wanted to work with Diddy. But Diddy made it hard, extremely hard for him to leave. He said at one point, Diddy sat him down and showed him the videos of him at this having a Diddy bopper, at the Diddy boppers, whatever they called it. And he was doing drugs and things like that. And he essentially said to the assistant, you see this? And then he said, I have this on my computer. I'm going to keep this just in case I ever need to use it. Meaning, like, I will use this to ruin you. And so that again shows him forcing people or coercing them to continue to be a part of something that they didn't want to do any longer. Now, the assistant said it was really hard for him to get out of the situation with Diddy and working for Diddy because Diddy and his team made it really hard to leave. So they continued. He said that it went about 6 months before he was able to leave. And he said he would give them 6 months to train the new assistant, so on and so forth. But he said he felt really uncomfortable. And again, that goes to show that this is an organized, like, drug ring to some extent. So that was the assistant. Now, here's where it gets crazy. Okay? The Punisher. I don't know if y'all heard about the Punisher. So the Punisher, whose real name is Sheree Hayes, was an exotic dancer. Now, the Punisher said that that he participated in approximately a dozen freak-off sessions where he did explicit performances for Combs and his then-girlfriend, Cassie. He described these events as fetishistic in nature, often involving a lot of baby oil and specific positioning instruction. Hayes noted that during the first encounter at Trump Towers, Combs observed a scene while wearing a Muslim-like face covering and remained silent throughout. It wasn't until later that Hayes realized the masked observer was Combs after seeing a hotel sign with his name on it. Now, what's important about this? That's just the beginning. So the Punisher initially encountered them because they found him. He was a male exotic dancer, and Cassie reached out to him and said that it was her husband's birthday. And she said that her husband wanted him to come and perform at his birthday as a male exotic dancer. Now, when he got there, he says that Cassie then told him that there would be a little bit more, and if he felt comfortable with it, and then he essentially derobed, because Cassie was unrobed. He derobed, and he said that Diddy was in a corner with a face mask on the first time. Now, initially they were supposed to pay him $800, but because he did more than what was initially requested, which was just dance exotically, they wound up paying him $2,000. And the first few times, Diddy sat in a corner and watched as he pleasured himself. And the exotic dancer and Cassie continued to do whatever they were doing. That's not even where it gets really weird, because he's the second person that said that. Now, this man, the Punisher, had written a book. I forgot the name of the book. Don't ask me because I can't remember, but if you look up the book, it's there. Now, what people have found is from the book, the Punisher talks about the fact that he talks about having a hard time keeping it up and participating and having to take drugs to continue to keep him awoken to participate in these acts with Cassie. Now, they also said, In Search of Freezer Meat, that's the name of the book. And in there, it also said that allegedly, this is what the people are saying, allegedly, that he used to release himself on Cassie when he was able to, and then the husband, the husband would then eat the release off of the wife or the girlfriend at the time. So allegedly, right? So he would end on the girlfriend, and then Diddy at some point would then get whatever was done on Cassie off of Cassie, allegedly, via eating. Now, this is also not the first time that we've heard some sort of weird thing like this, because I believe it was the other worker who testified initially that said that when they finished, Cassie would rub their finishings on Diddy's nipples, and then he would like Cassie to lick them off. So this is what they're alleging, okay? This is all allegedly. So you know what I'm saying? I don't want nobody, but this is all allegedly. So apparently this is what he had going on. And honestly, and also let's not forget about the golden showers. Now, honestly, this whole thing seems weird and very freaky. And the reality of it is if that's what they were into, that technically is not criminal. I think where it gets criminal is the forced act of forcing people to do it and paying. Now, the thing about this worker who testified yesterday that people are talking about is a part of trafficking is the across state lines. You have to be able to prove, like, a part of it is bringing people across state lines for prostitution or paying them or coercing them, forcing them. This all happened in New York with this man, and he was from New York. And I believe he was also in the show. It seems like a lot of the workers were in the show Gigolo. There was a show called The Gigolo. Maybe it was in the 90s. I don't know. Or early 2000s that was out. And so it seems like they were picking people from this show, The Gigolo, and bringing them to participate in name freak-offs. Allegedly. Right? Allegedly. So today, later this week, Kid Cudi is set to take the stand. And the reason that we need to remember it's important that Kid Cudi is taking a stand is because Diddy allegedly blew up Kid Cudi's car and threatened him and Cassie when Cassie tried to leave. And so that's going to continue to show the organized crime and the trafficking or forcing or threatening or blackmailing someone into continuing to participate. This is all very crazy. I'm beside myself, and I truly believe that if we're only in week 2 of the trial, and this is how freaky it's getting, and this is how crazy it's getting, I cannot imagine what week 4, 5, and 6 is going to give, because they're not coming out. They're not coming out with heavy shooters in the beginning. They didn't. This is about to get crazier and crazier. So I just can't imagine what's to come of this. But that's what we know so far. And just so we know, they also 2 more things that have come about is that they're continuing to show photos from inside of the federal raid of Diddy's Miami mansion. They found toys and a bunch of toys, lube, and more. So here's some of the images from when they did that initial raid that they just added. Right, this was from the raid of his Miami home, and there was more injury photos of Cassie that was entered into the evidence. Now, Cudi is going to testify. Cudi is not. They're thinking that he might not be able to testify today. Currently on the stand is a Homeland Security agent who is going to resume testifying from yesterday about what they heard. So that's what we know for right now. Kitty is either going to testify, if everything wraps up quick enough, he's going to testify today, but they're saying it's more than likely that he's going to testify tomorrow. So we're looking forward to hearing from Kid Cudi and what he's going to be doing or what he's going to be sharing, because I think everybody's been in anticipation about this blowing up of the car, which is so crazy, and the meetup that he had with Cassie and Diddy. So more to come on that. I will keep y'all posted. Y'all already know I'm coming with as much as possible. But Diddy, right now it's not looking good for him. And the only way, I think that right now what the defense team is going to do, and also y'all know I'm a conspiracy theorist, what the defense team is going to do is try to poke holes in all of these stories and make it and find ways to get the jury to be a hung jury or to try to get a mistrial. That is the defense's strategy right now. So essentially they're trying to, every witness that comes forward, we should expect them to try to find a way to poke holes in their story or try to find a way to say that there's a mistrial or something is not going right. But there's a lot happening, and I don't know. Now, the only reason that I think that some of this is a little sketchy is because the jury is not being sequestered. So the jury goes home every day after the trial. And with Diddy having this much reach, and when we're hearing about the testimony from the witnesses and how he's been able to threaten people and keep them feeling entrapped in these situations, it's hard for me to believe that he wouldn't try to persuade some of the jurors, especially when his family is there. His family can see who the jurors are, and they could potentially tamper with the jurors and pay them off. And I'm imagining, like, if you were willing to pay $20 million to Cassie, it's for your freedom. I can imagine him offering to pay millions of dollars to jurors. And no shade, and I'm not saying this in a weird way, but I think society has trained men to think a certain way. So the fact that there's 8 men and 4 women, I think that there's a lot of men who unfortunately think that he should walk free or blame Cassie for whatever happened. and are not willing to hold him accountable. And that to me makes me the most concerned about this situation. So more to come on that, but I do think that they're going to try to get a mistrial or get a hung jury so that way he can get off, because right now this evidence is too damning. What they're bringing into evidence is really hard for them to, and for the defense team in any way to paint it as anything else. Also, just to be clear, the defense team did not in any way interview or cross-examine Cassie's mom, which is also strange because they've been cross-examining everyone. So that's for the Diddy trials for right now. I will keep you all posted and updated on the Diddy trials. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you're subscribing to all my social media. The link is in the bio. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. I'm going to be posting on all those pages, but especially on YouTube to keep y'all updated on the Diddy trials. Now, this is less important, but I feel the need to talk about this. DJ Akademiks is shaming Halle Bailey for getting DDG's gun rights revoked or restricted. I'm really tired of hearing from DJ Akademiks. I'm really tired of him calling himself DJ Akademiks because there's nothing academic about him. This man is delusional and slow. And the bigger thing that I want to talk about is how men come together to protect abusive men and have all of these things to say. And it's always men like DJ Akademiks who always have beef with women, but never have beef with men. I think it's insane. I think he shouldn't be allowed to speak. And I also think, given all of the evidence that was presented for Halle to be able to get the restraining order and for her to be able to get sole custody temporarily of their child, it probably is safer that he didn't have guns. And they're also allegedly saying that he showed up to Halle's home one day and sent her a picture of her bed from inside her home. Do you know how scary that is? He shouldn't be allowed to access a gun. This is also the same man who was on streaming platforms talking to an AI version of his baby mother. Why should he have access to any sort of weapons? Is y'all cool? What are we talking about at this point? I don't think he should have access to, I think he should be locked up. Truly, I don't think he's well. I don't think he's well, and I think he should be locked up. It's insane. I also want to say, not to go back to Diddy, but I also want to say that 50 Cent is the craziest troll in the world, and the way that he's trolling Diddy has me in tears. The way that he is trolling Diddy around these free Diddy t-shirts has me in tears. That's just that on that. Now, the last thing, because I can't, 50 Cent will forever be the biggest internet troll, and I'm not going to lie, I can't get mad at him the way that he's on a next. And I will say, 50 Cent been saying this about Diddy for years. He's been telling us that he into some weird, freaky stuff and that he volunteered to take him on a shopping spree. And I know that 50 Cent is unserious, but the way that he's trolling Diddy and has always trolled Diddy is hilarious. He's also been telling us that Diddy was into some weird, freaky, unhinged stuff and that Diddy, played for both teams. He's been saying that. And I know that right now, he's rejoicing to the heavens because everything that he said is coming to fruition, and he said that it was going to come to fruition. Now, I think 50 Cent is crazy, but I just wanted to put that out there. The last and final thing, because I have to hop off because I have 11 o'clock, is that Chris Brown was released from jail yesterday. I don't really think it's important for us to know that he was finally allowed to be let out on bail, but what I am saying is, and reminding us, is that karma is hell. Karma is hell, okay? Because the minute that he started to scream free Tory, people was letting him live. People was letting him live. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't fully forgiven for all that he'd done, but I feel like people were leaving him alone enough that he was able to continue his career and he didn't get fully canceled. But let that be a message to all of the people who want to continue to harass women and make women feel less than or smaller or be on the side of toxic men. This is what God is watching. God is watching. And so the same way that you was harassing, you're on there talking about free Tory, while you know that you have an open case in London where you're going to perform for assaulting somebody, God is watching. Let that be a lesson to everyone. And though he is not still in there, the fact that he's Chris Brown and they said they didn't care and they kept him for this long was a lesson. So everybody screaming free Tory, I hope that they learn a lesson. And I say lock them all up. Lock them up with him, including that congresswoman who's wasting people's tax dollars to to advocate for Tory Lanez to be released from jail, and she's saying a bunch of nonsense. Put them all in jail with him, okay? Anyway, I love y'all. I gotta go, and have a great day. Be blessed.